Welcome to Jonbenét Ramsey Sketchy Details Part 2. If you haven't watched the first one, it's advised that you do so you know exactly what this one is talking about. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. So for number 15, I think what I'm going to show you is a clip of John Ramsey in the first interview that they gave any media source. There's a clip of him where he attempts to pretend to cry, and it is the worst acting I have ever seen in my life. So without any, more explaining, I'm just going to play the clip for you right here.
One room in the basement that when I opened the door, there are no windows in that room, and I turned the light on, and she was in there. It was her. I hope that.
Now, I know that the audio is like completely fucked on that video clip. I have no idea why it did that, but that was the third time I attempted to record that, and it happened every single time. But it's towards the end, obviously, when the words on the screen disappear, and it zooms in on his face. He almost has Duper's Delight. If you guys know what that is, he wears it all over his face in this interview. And I just think it's super sketchy and super sad because it shows that he's getting some sort of kick off of the lying, which sociopaths do, so, John would actually have Duper's Delight in every single interview that he does. In this first interview, I think, is the only time that he was nervous and he was unsure of himself. Also, the first and last time he tried any of his acting skills. But I feel like this interview is the one that let him know that he was the better liar out of him and Patsy. Just because he was a better liar doesn't mean he was the better actor, but he was definitely the better liar, more believable, even though he was extremely cold and just cut off from the whole thing. But I feel that in this first one is a lot of slip-ups from John because he's nervous and he's unsure of his interview-giving abilities. Number 16 is going to be how when Burke was finally interviewed for the first time, it was still on a date that was before any of the autopsy details had come out. And in this interview, somehow, despite the autopsy report not coming out yet, and despite nobody else saying anything about a head wound, Burke knows about it and claims that somebody hit her on the head. So I'm going to play the clip for you, and then we're going to go further into detail and compare the dates of the two.
I think that someone is a very quiet owner. You pay back against you do that on top. You move back. That's how she done it.
So there's Burke talking about Jonbenét being hit on the head. Personally, where the captions say, took a knife out, I hear, took out a bat, is what I hear. But either way, this is Burke Ramsey on January 8th of 1997, talking about a head wound, and the autopsy report, the first two details of it, didn't come out until February of 97, and then not until August or July of 97 did a few more details come out on the autopsy report. Not everything, though, because there are 6 parts of the autopsy that have never been released to the public, which I wish they would be. They probably have so much information on them. But as far as Burke knowing this information before anybody else did, I know a lot of people that, think Burke did the whole thing, that Burke killed Jonbenét, are going to say, well, that's proof right there that he did. I don't think so. I don't think that he is saying this because he did it. I think he's saying this because it is something that he was coached to say and was drilled into him before the 911 call was even made. So I think this was prepping that they put into him before they sent him away to go stay in his room, and they drilled it into his head that this is what he had to say. For number 17, we're going to talk about the infamous Christmas Day outfit that Patsy wore 2 days in a row. Lots of talk about this outfit already. So as to not waste time on it, I'm just going to cut to right down to the point. Yes, this is the same exact outfit that Patsy wore on Christmas night. Okay, no, she did not go to sleep at all. Nor did she shower, nor did she put on new makeup and do her hair in the morning. Okay, she did not sleep at night at all. John, however, got up in the morning, whatever, changed and showered. Okay. Now, part of the reason why Patsy wore the same clothes, which everybody was freaking out about, is because, think about it, you guys, she was able to leave with those fucking clothes on. Those clothes are evidence, and she was able to leave with them on still, okay? That was very intentional on her behalf. Secondly, they didn't give those clothes that they wore on Christmas Day to the cops until 2 years after the fact, okay? Nobody else in the world would get away with something like that, okay? So that's bullshit. But not only that, they didn't give everything. All that they sent were 2 shirts, 1 sweater, and 1 pair of pants. Okay, so somebody went bottomless and none of them had shoes on? Like, so ridiculous about the clothes. But it's obvious that Patsy wore those clothes, A, so she could take them with her and not leave them behind with all the evidence all over them, and B, just in case she did have to take them off, is why she had them on when she threw herself on top of Jonbenét's body, therefore, to show the cops, like, hey, look, this is why my fibers are on my child's body. My opinion, but I feel a lot of things they did was very intentional. Number 18 is going to be Pam Paugh. She is known for her quote, end quote, Pam's one-man raid on the Ramsey house about 3 days after it was discovered that Jonbenet was murdered. She was allowed to go into the Ramsey house to get, quote, end quote, clothes for the funeral. Well, she ended up taking out copious amounts of other things. So many items she removed from the house that Detective Steve Thomas was quoted as saying that Pam did a one-woman raid on the Ramsey residence that was comparable to burning the damn place down. Now, among these items were the bedding of Jonbenet's bed, the apparent bed that she had slept on. Now, there's proof of this in the 2 different crime scene photos. I'll show both of them here. Now, the first set are from, I believe, Officer French, which was one of the first officers there at the scene when it was still thought to be a kidnapping. And in those pictures, it shows Jonbenet's bed is unmade, but there's still bedding on the bed, okay? After Pam did her raid on the Ramsey residence, they did another crime scene walkthrough with photos and video. In those photos, Jonbenet's bed is completely stripped of any bedding. Why the fuck would Pam take that? She took that because there was something on there that they did not want the detectives, the cops, the DA, whatever, finding. That's so obvious. I do not know how this fucking family got away with everything they did. The only excuse is that there was mad corruption. People were bought out at the highest levels possible. For number 19, I'm going to show you a clip of John Ramsey. In an interview, he says something that I find extremely peculiar, and I'm going to link to another video that I had found, and I don't know, get your guys' opinion, see what you guys think about it. So I don't really know how to explain this one, so I'm just going to show you the clip, and then I'll tell you about the other video. So here's the clip.
We're hopeful that we're going to get a huge leap forward when we get that tip that we've been waiting for.
And this is the tip that you hope will come into you and your people?
I don't care where it comes. We've asked people to call us, call the Boulder police, call your local police, call the FBI. All we hope is that whoever they call is receptive enough to listen.
So, what does John mean, receptive enough to listen? Well, one would say that when something is going to seem outlandish or unbelievable. Similar to when people say, I know this is going to sound crazy, but, which sort of leaves you with the feeling that what they're about to say is true. Either way, what we have here is John talking about waiting, almost anticipating a phone call. And that's where this guy comes in with this video.
I guess more than the general public would know about that case. I'm going to talk about a secret phone call that I have personal knowledge about, and how it might play into that case, and how it might play into this Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest.
So this guy is a former Colorado Springs police officer in the homicide department. He claims to have received an anonymous phone call one night from a male voice who was professing that JonBenét was a victim of a very well-connected, very high up, very far-reaching child porn ring that even reaches as far as Hollywood. Now, doesn't that seem like something that somebody would have to be pretty receptive to take in and believe? Could this be the phone call that John was talking about? If so, this would only be supportive and correct if John was trying to also help find who actually did this. But this gives off the impression that he knew, but he was like scared of the person. So if you were involved with some really high up, really dangerous people, and you were almost going to be blackmailed for something, but you were being blamed for something they did, this would be some sort of subtle clue that you would give out to people, or, you know, you would be holding on to this phone call that somebody else would make that would help corroborate the fact that you were innocent. Because if these are dangerous people that are well connected, you can't just go and oust them and tell on them. And besides, they probably have blackmail on you in the first place if you did try to go tell on them. So that's the only way that it seems plausible to me. But I don't really think that John has it in him to feel guilty or be remorseful. So number 20 relates to number 19. If you noticed at the end of that clip, the guy says, and it might relate to Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest. I'll just go ahead and play it for you again real quick so you can hear it from his voice.
I guess more than the general public would know about that case. I'm going to talk about a secret phone call that I have personal knowledge about, and how it might play into that case, and how it might play into this Ghislaine Maxwell's arrest.
So this is a photo that was originally thought to be one of the last of JonBenét, and it's been circling the internet lately, and people are convinced that the lady on the left is Ghislaine Maxwell. When I first heard it, I agreed that, yeah, it looks uncannily like her, but I didn't take it any further than that. Well, once I found this guy's video, I kind of changed my mind, because in this video, he exposes that Ghislaine Maxwell and John Ramsey have the same exact attorney. Could this be an attorney that's used to working for pedophiles and knows how to get them away? Like, get them off of stuff? Because that's a really big connection. And to me, that would be the only thing that would kind of support if that was Ghislaine on the left of that picture of JonBenét. I don't know if I really believe it or not, but I think it's worth noting that John and Ghislaine share an attorney. So for number 21, I'm actually going to go back and correct something from the first video. So in the first video, the number 5 is how I'm questioning what Bill McReynold's secret for JonBenét was. I, at that time, was under the impression that he was never asked by any sort of authorities about that. Well, I came upon an article, it's like yesterday, that said that he was asked. And upon asking, he denied knowing about it and denied being the person to have written that note to her. So, in retrospect, he's claiming that somebody else, posing as Santa, told her that she had a secret present waiting for her after Christmas. And I know this is like new information for me, but it really doesn't change my mind. Like that Bill McReynold was that Santa, and he did tell her that. Part of that is because of his wife's 1976, I believe. Was it 76 or 74? Yeah, 76. The play that his wife wrote that was supposedly, based off of the 1965 torture and murder of Sylvia Likens. So it was based off of a crime that had already happened, years previous. But it's still super sketchy. The play is about a girl who is molested and held and murdered in a basement. Okay, and she's a young girl. I have found from my own personal experience in life that yes, there are such things as coincidences. And sometimes these coincidences are crazy, right? And they almost seem sketchy, but they are genuine coincidences. I do kind of feel that is the case with her play. Like, I don't think that her play was intended to represent JonBenét, but I do kind of feel that maybe her play was used as some sort of structure for what happened to JonBenét, or some sort of playbook of what happened to JonBenét. So I know that's kind of contradictory, but what I'm saying is I don't feel her play was intended to represent or relate to what ended up happening to JonBenét. But at the same time, I'm saying that her play is what makes me the most suspicious of Bill McReynold. But on top of that, I'm sorry, any old dude that plays Santa and loves kids sitting on their lap, I'm suspicious of. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be honest. You just don't do that. I know it's a whole fucking tradition, whatever. It's weird to me. And it's everybody in Boulder seems weird to me. I would love to think that the Whites, like Fleet White and Priscilla White, are genuinely concerned for the justice of JonBenét, and I would like to think that they had nothing to do with it, but at the same time, they were really good friends with the Ramseys. And Fleet's father has some crazy allegations against him from a girl from California claiming to be his granddaughter. Turns out she is, but she claims to have suffered sexual abuse by the hands of Fleet White Sr. So that stops me from believing that the Whites are innocent and good, genuine people. But don't get me wrong, I do love the fact that he ended up getting in an argument with John about talking to the police. That also gives off the weird impression that he knew that Fleet White was aware that John knew who did this, and Fleet felt that John was able to go to the police and report who did it without it damaging John too much. But I think John was smarter than that, and he knew better. Well, here we are around the 20-minute mark again, and I've only told you this time 6 more additional things, so I've gotten worse. So I'm obviously going to stop this one here. I'm sorry that I didn't get into the different posing of her body, but there's a lot of things I haven't got into, so here we go again. There's going to be a number 3, apparently, a part 3 that I have to go make now. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share if you like. Like I said, I don't get monetized on YouTube. I don't get paid for this shit, so it really doesn't matter. But I do hope that people watch these because the information and the questions that it poses are very important.